Good morning, everyone. Woo! Do I have some news for you? So, a lot has happened since the last time I talked to you, and I did not even talk to you that long ago. But, let me turn this down, because that's going to bother me. So, I know I've been updating you all on our foster care situation, and I've been telling you as much as I possibly can. I know everyone pretty much understands that for privacy reasons, like, I can't go super into detail, but I can tell you at least, like, the basics. And basically, Cody and I have been struggling hard with this placement. We found out a lot of information, and none of it was good. Let me start from the beginning, where this is going to probably make most sense. We basically had been just having like back to back horrible days. And when I say that, it's not just like personal things going on. It's like the placement that we had was purposely doing things to create issues, to create drama, to create divide, and not only amongst us in our home, but amongst like the workers and the whole team. It got completely out of hand, carried away. It actually resulted in me having like a 3-hour conversation with her in-home therapist to really clear the air and figure out exactly what the truth was, because there would be things that would happen, and then our foster daughter would relay those things over to her in-home therapist, but she would completely spin the story, stretch it to where it was based in truth, but it was so far-fetched from what had actually happened that we were being painted in a very crazy light. She had made it very clear that she did not want to be in our house anymore. She's sick of, foster homes. She's sick of living with us. She just wants to go with her family, which is what DSS is trying to do. They are trying to get her with a family placement. However, the family placement that she's going to is actually out of state. So they have to do something called an ICPC. And basically, it's a lot more intense and like labor intensive to try to get a child out of state to move there versus, if they were in the same county or in the same state, it doesn't require as much. So the process has taken a lot longer than our foster daughter thought, and basically her patience has just worn thin. That being said, I guess in her mind, she thought that if she creates these problems, that they were going to move her to Pennsylvania sooner. That's not how it works. It had gotten to the point where her caseworker actually came to our house and had like a 2-hour long conversation with her, basically telling her, look, we're on to what you're doing. This is unacceptable, and I'm going to warn you right now that if you continue to do this, the only thing that's going to happen is that you're going to get moved from this foster home and just move to another foster home. This does not shorten your time to go be with your family. If you could be with your family right now, you would be. Like, you're not in Pennsylvania because you're here. You're here because you can't go to Pennsylvania yet. I don't know if she didn't believe her, or if it's just like a mental immaturity thing of like she just didn't quite grasp what she was being told. But it continued. Her social worker said she thought she had a conversation with her where she understood, like basically what the repercussions of her actions were going to be if she kept these things up. She didn't. It didn't end there. If anything, it just escalated. It was absolutely constant. When I tell you that I spent hours of my day on the phone with DSS, whether it be her social worker, whether it was my social worker, I've even had discussions with our foster daughter's social worker and her boss, like, and then her in-home therapist. Like, I'm at work and I'm spending hours of my time getting up from my desk, having to go in another room, for privacy, and having these really long discussions about, okay, your foster daughter just called us and said this happened. Can you please explain? And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I'm literally at work. I have not been home for hours. Like, this never happened. This isn't even a thing. It was just complete fabrication. And it was because she was trying so hard to get out of our house that she was literally willing to do and say anything. That being said, there was one certain allegation, and I call it an allegation just because of the way that it was worded. It felt very unsafe to Cody and I, to the point where I was like, we can't keep doing this. This is actually starting to affect our personal well-being. It's creating so much mental stress. We're constantly on pins and needles. I'm constantly on my phone. I can't focus when I'm at work. My boss is starting to ask questions. Like, it is insane how one person can shift the dynamic completely in your home, but also outside of it and in so many other areas of your life, even when you're not around them. I had to have a very serious conversation with Cody and say, look, here is basically what was said. I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, and I want your honest opinion about how you feel about it. When I told him what she said and how I took it, and basically that if things like that continue, that it could mean trouble for Cody and I, because a child can't just say things like that and allude to certain things, even if it's completely false. DSS has to do their job and always investigate, which I understand and I appreciate, but I don't need that. I don't need it because of a child who just is so unhappy in her current situation that she's willing to put us at risk and jeopardy. So I had to have a come to Jesus moment, so to speak, and be like, look, you want to do this. Your heart is in the right place. You're still passionate about foster care, but is this the right placement? The answer was no. It hasn't been the right placement since the day we got her, but I have always said to myself, I knew that every single placement was not going to be roses and rainbows. Some of it was going to just be a hardcore struggle. You might not connect with every single placement, and that's okay. And that's what I kept telling myself, was like, Court, you're just not connecting with her, and that's okay, but still care for her the same way you would any other child, still provide a safe home, still, back her up and like try to get her to succeed in life like you would any other child. And that's what both Cody and I did. And at some point, it just got too far for us to feel safe to continue doing it anymore, because she's putting our lives in jeopardy. That being said, Cody and I had to give our 30-day notice, which I didn't even know was a thing, but apparently it is. So if you have a placement, at least in our county, I don't know how it works anywhere else. If you have a placement and you can no longer provide care, you are supposed to give the county a 30-day written notice. So I did that, and then we are pretty certain that the family member that she is supposed to be going with ended up telling her that we gave a 30-day notice, which we were all given strict instruction to not tell her until they had other placement for her, so that she did not spiral out of control and feel very left in the dark of, well, where am I going? Like, nobody had answers yet. So it was not in her best interest to know the information yet until they had a solution to the problem to give it to her all at once. So because we're skeptical that she was told by her family member, you can say that things at our house got so much worse. She started not wanting to come home. She would ask to go to a friend's house or a family member's house, so Cody and I would take her there, or she would get picked up from them and go there, and then we'd get a text message saying, like, can I stay another day? Or, yeah, they're actually going to just take me to work right from here, so I won't be home. And I'm like, okay, you haven't been home in like 3 days. I feel like it's safe to say you're avoiding us. But there was an incident of, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but basically there was a dramatic incident, and she is no longer with us, even before the 30 days. Hold on one second, I'm gonna order my coffee. So she left before the 30 days because of something that she did. It was made very clear to us by her social worker and ours that she is no longer allowed back in our home, even to get her own things. So we had to pack up all of her stuff. We are waiting for it to get picked up from her social worker. But it sounds like she is going to be going to a more intensive group home for like mental health reasons, because the level of care that she needs is not something that Cody and I can give her. So I wanted to give you guys an update. Talk to you later.